Ever feel like your brain is just fried? Like you're mentally exhausted and you just can't focus no matter how hard you try? Well, you're definitely not alone. We're living in this age of constant overstimulation, and honestly, it's taking a toll. So in this explainer, we're going to dive into why your brain feels so overloaded, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it.
Let me paint a quick picture for you. Just see if this sounds a little too familiar. So, you pick up your phone for one simple, tiny reason. Maybe it's to check the weather or set an alarm. Something that should take, 5 seconds? But then, the rabbit hole opens. A notification pops up. You answer a few messages. You get sucked into a few videos. You scroll through a dozen headlines about some new crisis, and before you even realize it, poof, 15 minutes are just gone. And that's when you finally pause, with your phone in your hand and that confused feeling hits you. You have to genuinely try to remember what that simple little task was. Now listen, this isn't some personal failure. This is a shared experience for millions of us, and it is absolutely happening by design. So what is really going on here? Well, this whole cycle of distraction is built on a very old psychological trick. It's basically turned our entire digital world into one giant modern-day experiment. Okay, so way back in the 20th century, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner did these experiments. He found that if you give a rat a treat every single time it presses a lever, it eventually gets kind of bored. But if the reward is unpredictable, if it's random, that rat will press the lever compulsively, over and over and over again.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Our digital lives are basically a giant Skinner box. Every time you pull down to refresh your social media feed, you're pulling that lever. You have no idea what you're going to get. Maybe it's a hilarious video, maybe it's a great message from a friend, or maybe it's just nothing. And it's that randomness, that unpredictable reward that keeps us hooked, just chasing that next little jolt.
Now, the chemical that's driving this whole loop is a famous one, dopamine. But its role is probably not what you think it is. See, it's not really about pleasure. It's all about the chase. Yeah, this is a huge misconception. We call dopamine the pleasure chemical, but that's not quite right. It's really the motivation chemical. It's the thing in your brain that says, hey, go get that thing. That thing might feel good. It's the engine that drives our desire to seek things out. And this creates this incredibly powerful, self-reinforcing loop. Just the anticipation of a possible reward is enough to release dopamine, which then motivates you to scroll again. Get this, you're not even addicted to the funny videos themselves, you're addicted to the possibility of finding a funny video. So here's the really crucial part. When your brain is constantly getting flooded with these massive dopamine hits from your phone, it adapts. It literally builds up a tolerance. Your baseline for what you find interesting gets higher and higher, and that makes normal, everyday, low dopamine activities like reading a book or just sitting quietly with your thoughts feel incredibly boring.
And this leads us to a massive problem. Because when we feel mentally drained, what do? We reach for what we think is rest, but we're often just pouring more gasoline on the fire.
Okay, this is probably the most important distinction we're going to talk about. We mistake passive consumption, scrolling through TikTok, binge watching a show, for rest. But it's not. That's still information input. Your brain is still working, still processing new stuff. Real rest comes from less input. It's about giving your brain the quiet time it desperately needs to sort through and digest everything it's already taken in.
And the consequences of living on a diet of this fake rest are very, very real. You feel that constant mental fatigue, even when you haven't done much. Your ability to focus is just shattered. Your thinking feels shallow. You feel burned out, and your motivation to do anything difficult just plummets. I want to be clear, these are not character flaws. They're symptoms of an overloaded system. This quote just says it all, right? We've basically trained ourselves to fill every single quiet moment with more noise, crowding out the mental space we need for reflection, for creativity, for any kind of deep thought. All right, so how do we break free from this? The good news is the solution isn't complicated, but it does mean we have to completely rethink what we do in our downtime.
The guiding principle is so simple. To truly recharge your mental batteries, you have to stop plugging them into more and more sources of stimulation. You have to learn how to unplug.
And that means we have to stop treating boredom like it's the enemy. It's not a void that needs to be filled with a quick scroll. Boredom is actually productive. It's the empty space where your mind finally gets the chance to make new connections and wander freely.
I mean, think about it for yourself. When do you really have your best ideas? It's almost never when you're staring at a screen, right?
It's in those quiet moments, in the shower, on a walk, just staring out the window. That's when creativity and real insight finally have a chance to bubble up.
So what is the simplest, most effective way to start escaping this trap? Well, it all builds to one really powerful, really simple action you can start doing today. If there's one single habit that can give your mind the real rest it is starving for, what would that be? The answer is surprisingly specific and totally manageable. All it takes is 30 minutes. That's it. A simple 30-minute walk with one huge rule. No electronic devices, no podcasts, no music, no checking messages. Just you, your own thoughts, and the world around you. This simple act allows your brain to finally switch from input mode to processing mode. It's like letting your mind finally exhale and sort through the day.
So, I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. As you go through the rest of your day, think about the breaks you take. Are you just distracting yourself with more input, or are you actually giving your brain the quiet space it needs to recover? Today, are you going to give your brain the real rest it actually deserves?